So many people have stepped up to serve in big ways this year in light of the global pandemic that we have all found ourselves in the middle of. And my guest today is definitely one of those people. Kat Golden's passion for helping nurses find the confidence they need to create their own schedules, take a chance on their dreams, and maintain self-care has sparked her movement, Nurses Inspire Nurses. Today, we're talking about how she turned an idea into an accidental 7-figure business in just under 2 years. And I also asked her advice for how you can bring your big ideas to life too. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I am so excited to get to catch up with someone that we were just talking. It feels like it's been years since we've seen one another, but it was actually just a few months ago at Event Love, because right now we're living in a time warp. So
100%.
Kat, I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
It's so good to see you. We're laughing. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see our very different apparel. I'm wearing a tank top. She is dressed as the cutest teddy bear with her fuzzy pullover, because you're in Michigan, I'm in Phoenix. And this is that weird time of year where we start heating up really fast and everywhere else is still like getting snow. I have friends who are shoveling snow.
Yes.
So weird.
Let's not talk about. We don't say that word around here.
No, we'll edit that out because yeah, you're right. We don't want to be a bummer to everyone. But you are someone that I have adored since the moment that we met, which was just a little over a year ago. And I have watched you show up so big for your community in such a time of need, because you have created a community for the nursing community, which is getting a lot of attention right now, like literal heroes on the front line during the pandemic. So obviously I want to talk about how you are showing up and supporting nurses right now, but let's take it back to the beginning, because this baby of yours really is a young baby. It still is a baby in terms of a business. How did you go from working in the nursing profession yourself to now having a super successful business supporting nurses around the world?
Yeah, I think so. The company is only a little under 2 years old, which is just so wild. But I think I didn't really ever fit in the nursing world. So that's just, I'll just say that first. And if any of my coworkers my old coworkers who I'm still like friends with them, if they listen to this, they would just laugh and be like, yep, Kat never fit in with us. And I really didn't. I would like always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I just loved helping people. That's how I got into nursing in the first place. But I never truly fit in the nursing world. And so the transition wasn't that weird. Like nobody was surprised. Like it just made sense to everybody. They're like, oh yeah, yes, she's like doing something crazy. But I think one really cool thing about nursing that's different than a lot of other professions is that it's really easy to have other interests and hobbies. And a lot of nurses actually do, because you work 3 days a week. Most people in nursing, not everybody, but a lot. And then it's really easy to go down to part-time. Like what other jobs can you really only work 2 days a week, but still work 24 hours, probably make a full-time wage compared to a lot of other professions, and then have 5 days a week to work on other projects. So I think that like the logistics of it is pretty easy. I think the like mental part is hard just because nursing is so taxing. Like you're working days, nights, just weird schedule and stuff. But I think I never fit in. I think I was always meant to do this. I never cared about medical stuff. I don't like science. I never went into nursing because I liked science or medicine. I just truly liked helping people.
Yeah.
And the things that made me a good nurse are what make me good at my job now.
Yeah.
Like at my job or my business. Like the same things I do for nurses, I did for my patients.
Yeah. Well, and you started a business out of what I think so many of us do. You saw a need that wasn't being filled. And you didn't necessarily expect this to turn into a business.
No, I never went into it to have a business.
Yeah.
I just realized how I felt. I felt so tired and burnt out. And I have always, like, I was so into self-care. And I was like, why are we not Like, I'm a human being first. Like, it's okay to be sad that I'm working on Christmas. Like, why is everyone not acting like that's a big deal? Like, why does everyone feel bad saying like, yeah, I stayed up all night, I didn't sleep good today, like I got in a fight with my boyfriend? Like, what is the shame of like saying that? I didn't understand that. And once I opened up that can of worms and started having that conversation, it was like the floodgates opened. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Because you've essentially created your own industry, your own niche in
Mm-hmm.
the industry. So tell us
Mm-hmm.
exactly what that is and how the early days of Nurses Inspire Nurses looked like, because it's been an incredible journey.
Yeah, so I think I'm very clear on our messaging and who we are and what we do. We help nurses as humans first, nurses second. So you go to our page, there's nothing medical. You're not going to find study tips. You're not going to find stuff on how to talk to a doctor, how to start IVs. I think all that stuff is great. That's not our message to share. We take care of nurses as humans because they're busy taking care of everybody else and they like need the help, but will never ask for it. So I started off just doing what I called coffee talks. My boyfriend at the time was a coffee roaster and had a coffee shop. So I was like, cool, I'll just pop up there, because I realized at work we needed to have these conversations, but there was no time or it wasn't the place, it just like wasn't the right atmosphere. And then also like I would have to go hang my meds. I'm like, guys, therapy hour has to be over. Like, I actually have to do my job. Like, there would be a line of people just wanting to have these conversations. So I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to host these coffee talks. And then I, posted on social, did all the things. Nobody came to my first one. I was just like so devastated, but I didn't tell anybody. Like, I took a photo on Instagram. I just said, great coffee talk. Next one will be whatever. And then we've always had people come since then. That was literally how I started. And then I had a party. And so I probably started the coffee talks in like May, June of 2018. And then in July of that year, I was like, I'm having a party. It's going to be the most epic party of the year. Only nurses can come. We're going to have like food, drinks. These swag bags are going to be epic, like shopping. I had like eyebrow waxing, chair massages, like all the things. It made me mad because like when at the hospital, and granted I worked in pediatrics with kids, but like we would have athletes or famous people. We had a Ryan Seacrest studio in the lobby of the hospital, and all these people would come in and they would like shove the nurses to the side. It was really rude. They would be like, no photos, no interruptions, like this is for the kids, all this stuff. And I'm all for the kids getting all the things,
Right.
but it was just so demeaning as a person. Like it was like I was being treated like I was, being some crazy person, when how cool would that have been to be like, hey, we're going to have 10 minutes. Like if you want to get photos with the athletes, or like you're working on Christmas too, or just to even be acknowledged or to not be treated so badly. Oh, it made me so mad. So I was like, I'm having this party. Only nurses can come. And now we have
Take
like our
that,
big, yeah.
celebrities.
Oh. I was just being a crazy, but we have our nurse party every year now. So yeah.
And how did it start to evolve? Because you started to see a need. People were responding to this idea that nurses are taking care of everyone else. They're not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily taking care of themselves. And now it's evolved into your apparel line, your mentorship program. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me what that journey looked like. From when was the moment that you were like, I think I accidentally started a business?
Well, when I had my party, I had a mentor at the time. I actually thought I would be a health coach. So in isogenics, well, you do isogenics too. I was set on blowing up my isogenics business. And so I had hired a coach. Basically, I still use isogenics and I love it, but I just wasn't meant to be a health coach. That's not what I'm passionate about. And so she told me, so I have her to thank, when I had my party, that I had to sell something. But I was like, no, I don't want to sell something. It's just a party. She was like, you need to sell something. People are more likely to interact with you again if they buy something. And so my boyfriend was like, just do a t-shirt. My same boyfriend that had the coffee shop. Like he was like, he knew about these things. I knew nothing. I've never had a shop. I have no experience. He's like, do a t-shirt. Everyone likes t-shirts. And so I was talking to my friend that had a super small apparel company. And I was like, I want to do something with nurses, like helping each other. Like I always wanted it to be about the nurses, not about me or anybody else. Like I want it to be about nurses helping each other, because I was like, you know what? Like, if someone would give me a lunch break, or someone was like, hey, I'll watch your patients so you can go take a 15-minute like walk across to the other, there's a secret Starbucks hidden in the other hospital. So we'd walk across the way. But like, you can't just leave when you're a nurse. Like, it's so devastating, right? Like, you literally cannot leave the floor to leave your patients. So you might not eat, you might not have a chance. But if someone was like, hey, I can watch your patients for 15 minutes so you can get a coffee, that makes all the difference. Or like, hey, I'll do your admission while you do my discharge, or like, I'll do this for you, do this for me. Like, your day would be so much better. And so, yeah. So then she's like, well, what about nurses inspire nurses? That sounds better. I was like, okay, cool. So I slapped it on a t-shirt, like on a complete whim. And then so many people DM'd me. Like, I had never even gotten that many DMs. I'm like, oh, this
what
is
happened?
Yeah, I'm like, wait, there's a number there? Like, what? So
Wow.
then I was just PayPal invoicing people, because I didn't even have a website or anything. So I was just like, oh, I can pay. I'm just like a little hustler. I'm like, oh, PayPal, I'll order more. And I funded the whole thing myself. Like, I just used my money from working. One of my really good friends here has a very successful business. And so she's helped me a lot. And I realized though really quickly that this is like what I was supposed to do, because it was so real and it was so authentic. I would do this for free. And now I get paid like a ton of money to do consulting and all these things. And I say that I'm like, well, I would do this for free, because it's just what I'm meant to do.
It's like such the perfect story for our community, because I think especially right now, we're in a time where it has a lot of people evaluating, do I want to keep going in the direction I'm going in life? Do I like this job? Maybe they're even in a position where their job has been taken away. And it gives you this space to step back and realize, maybe this isn't what I was meant to be. And what I love, I actually listened to you on another podcast, our friend Lori's podcast, and you were talking about one of your keys to success being that you just get into action. You don't think a lot about it. You don't overthink it. Talk
100%.
about how that has
played. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. Well, and it's so simple and so easy to say, but I think, we talk in our community a lot about getting out of your own way and just getting into action, because a lot of times that is where this deeper purpose or the next action step reveals itself. Talk about how that has played a role in the evolution of what you've built.
Yeah, it's been everything. It's even the foundation of my mentorship program, Leap, Land, Live. Like, it's all about taking a leap. And that's what I help nurses do, is take action. I think there was a couple things early on that I think I realized very quickly, and not everyone maybe, but almost everyone knows Rachel Hollis. And I just think she's a great example. Like, we want all the big things, all of us do, right? And we have all these big dreams, but it's like, everybody has to have a day one. Everyone has to have that first step. Like, how many books did she have before Girl Wash Your Face? She was speaking to hardly anybody. And then now she sells out stadiums. I think of Gabby Bernstein was another person. Like, I remember reading her talking, why I kind of started Coffee Talks, actually, reading about her going to the library and hosting lectures or whatever it was, and one person being there. She's like, I would literally just go to the library. It's kind of exactly how I modeled Coffee Talks. I was like, cool, I'll just go to the coffee shop and offer to help these nurses. I wanted practice speaking. I wanted practice mentoring on the spot, because I knew I was going to be helping people. I'm like, well, I need to know I can even answer questions. Like, what if I get to this thing and I can't? Right. So I think I just decided, like, I have to have all of these steps along the way.
Yeah. And it's so simple, and sometimes the hardest thing to do. Would you say that, I think you actually did mention this in that episode I was listening to. I think I talked to so many people. I've been in this conversation a lot lately, where people are like, I just don't know the next step. I don't know what to do. And I actually think sometimes we overlook the first step because it is so small. And I know you do some mentoring around this too.
Yeah.
Like the tough love approach of, you probably actually do. Or if you
we all do.
quiet,
I think that's a lie. Yeah. We all do. Maybe we don't want to know it, but I 100% believe we all know the next step, even if it's asking for help.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we can't hear it, or I think, one thing I see a lot, and I have to remind myself all the time, like, I actually don't consume a ton, because I don't want to know what other people are doing because it's so distracting. Not that I'm all for mentorship and learning. And sometimes that is the next step. Sometimes the next step is asking for help. But I think we're so busy looking at what everyone else is doing. And even like with these nurse care packages I did, like if I would have looked at what everyone else is doing, I would be like, oh, we need masks. And do you know what? Nurses did need masks and like protective equipment, but that was not my thing to do.
Yeah. That's such a good reminder, and something that is happening a lot right now because
Mm-hmm.
everyone is dealing with the current situation in their own way. And,
Mm-hmm.
by the time people hear this, we've kind of been in this for a good 90 days.
Yeah.
What point or how were you inspired to step up in the way that you did? So you've been creating care packages to
Mm-hmm.
send to nurses. So talk a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about what that program is and how you thought of the idea, because I think it's important to distinguish, like, everyone is really kind of stepping up in their own way, and there's
Mm-hmm.
no one way that it has had to look, and you are such
No.
an example of that.
I think it's not like a one-time thing for me. I think so. My team is like, Jesus, take the wheel. Because every day in my script, like I have a script that I listen to every single day. And in there, I say the ideas and ways for me to support my community are endless. I always have new ideas. I'm in tune with my soul. She knows exactly what to do. And I don't consume a lot. Um, and so I just know, like, I couldn't even sleep the night before because I was like, man, this is so crazy. Like, again, I was like, how am I even going to do care packages? Like, I wanted something tangible to send these nurses. I wanted to collect notes. And this is just like, I'm just in tune with what I'm good at. There's so many things that I'm not, but when it comes to support and things like that, it's just in gifts. And that is what I'm good at. So I knew that I wanted to do something really tangible. I had no idea how it would work, but I was just like, okay, like what would be the first thing? Like I could go to Costco and just do this myself. Like I could be like, okay, if this is what I want to do, I could put my money where my mouth is and like I could send 20 care packages, you know? The second I released a form, we had like 35 people sign up. I was like, okay, that was in like 5 minutes. I was like, I can send these 30 care packages. So I could go to Costco. Okay, collect notes. I got people email. That's free. So I'll set up an email. Like, do you know what I mean? I just started,
Yeah.
and I just give myself permission. I think the other piece with taking action that people don't talk about a lot, and actually Lori is like really big on this too, and has taught me a ton from being in the mastermind too. But like I'm very unattached to quote failing or what will happen after. So like if it wouldn't have worked and nobody would have donated or nobody would have signed up, I would be like, cool, I did in my heart what I thought was right. I felt great about that. I can't do anything about what other people do.
Yeah. Oh, and just to have that freedom to take the action
Mhm.
without the attachment to a result.
Yes. Because I always focus on effort. Like if my effort is there and I feel like I'm giving 100%, or we all know, like if we really listen, if we're doing that thing we know to do, even if it goes terribly, I'm like, okay, that's what I was supposed to do.
Yep. Or it'll lead to the next thing.
Totally.
Yeah. So what was the result of that program? How many care packages did you end up sending? Tell me some of the cool stories, because obviously I watched it all
Yeah.
unfold on
Yeah.
Instagram. But
So we're still getting donations and still sending them. My goal was to wrap it up this week because we are shipping 50,000 t-shirts, which is a whole other story and project. But we will still continue to ship care packages as we get donations. We just wanted to get a majority of them out. So every unit is different. So the idea was that we would send it to a person, they would take it in for their unit, and we wanted to be able to support around 20 people, just depending on the size of the shift or like day and night. I mean, every single place is sometimes like an ER might have 50 nurses or at one, like it's just so varied, but we're like one box is about 20 people. And again, like when this first started, we had nurses picking up their care packages locally because like, why not? We just curbside. Then we got the lockdown order. So then we had to change that. I mean, I think I was here for like almost 14 days. I think I was like 2 weeks every single day. I was doing it all myself, and my parents were helping some. And then we went to shipping, and I was just like, universe has our back. Like we just keep getting donations. So as long as we keep getting donations, we had so many donations for shipping. Like I was just like, I'm going to fund the shipping. Like I think there's abundance for everybody. And it's just like, it's just going to work. And then people were like, can I donate? I'm like, I guess you can.
I will allow it.
Yeah. So I was like, actually, that would be really helpful because like shipping gets expensive, especially like, to ship a box to Arizona or California would be $15-$20 for one box. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just made do. And like, we had so many donations. So like, it was really the letters that we were putting in the boxes that were magical. And again, I'm just reminded times 1,000, like how important our energy is. Even doing these coffee talks that I do, it's like free. And it's just me showing up and sharing my energy and creating the space. And sometimes that's the greatest gift. But like, actually, it was one of my mentees had gotten a box for her unit. And she sent me this video of this nurse, like, who was copying. This didn't even dawn on me. She was literally copying all the letters in the box and giving them to all the nurses. Oh,
Wow.
gives me chills, like hanging them up. And then she sent me a video and she was like taking them home with her to show her daughter. And she was like, my daughter needs to know what we do and how important this is. And like, these letters were just like everything to her. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, duh, people could copy them and like take them home. And it was just like wild.
It's such a beautiful example of how the way that people have shown up during this time doesn't
100%.
necessarily have to be this over the top gesture. A word of
Mm-mm.
encouragement could go
Yes.
such a long way.
100%.
I love that. Oh, I've loved watching all of this unfold on your Instagram stories and
Thank
just
you.
following the journey. And seriously, it's such a reminder that each of us can do our own individual part to step up and bring people together. I know that's a huge passion of yours too,
Yes.
just building community. So, you've talked a little bit about mentorship
Mm-hmm.
and obviously like the coach that had the huge impact on you,
Yes.
and I know you've been a part of masterminds. How has that played a role in this growing into not just a viable business, but a really, really successful one?
Oh, I think it's been everything. And I think I'm so thankful that I'm not afraid to ask for help. And I just think success leaves clues, right? Like, I think you would agree. It's like when I see, I see all of these very successful people and I'm like, okay, they all have mentors, they all have coaches. Like if you want to compete, even like an athlete or something, right? Like like nobody's doing it by themselves. Now, some areas of my life, you have to pick and choose. Like I don't have a personal trainer. I'm doing some virtual workouts in my house that are great. But it's been everything.
Yeah.
You have to get around the people, like the energy, the information. It just takes years. I think I could figure it out, but why would I when someone could just tell me?
That's such a great way to look at it. I think we can make some of those exponential shifts when we're around different energy, people who think differently
Mhm.
and challenge us to think bigger. I mean,
Mhm.
I love when you shared the story of being asked to come and speak and like actually having someone say like, "Well, what should we pay you for that?" Do you want to talk about that a little bit and just like the
Wait, which one?
shift? Okay, so you shared on the podcast that I was listening to with you and Lori about being asked to come and speak as like a thought leader in your
Oh,
industry.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like, how did that shift your mindset about the really like how legit this project, this business that you've started really is? Now like organizations are turning to you as the
Yeah,
voice
my
for the nursing
consulting.
community.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how has that unfolded? And just tell me a little bit about like that mental shift of like stepping into what your expertise is really worth.
I think it's been interesting because I think I know what you're saying. So I think it's been really interesting because we dream of these things. This is like everyone's dream, right? Someone calls you on the phone, literally finds you and is like, "We love what you're doing. We want you to work with us." All of these things. Like this is a dream. I'm so thankful. But at the end of the day, like I'm Kat. Like I just don't take it for granted. I'm like, "Cool, that was amazing." I I go there, I'm so crazy. I'm just like still myself. I literally said when I just went to Dallas for this whole thing with all the chief nursing officers from hundreds, from all the hospitals. And I'm just like, yeah, like I would do this for free. Like I just love it. And like my team is in the back, like literally dying. Like, is she allowed to say that? But I'm just so myself that it doesn't phase me. And I think as much as like, yes, I intend to have all the money because I just keep giving it away. So more keeps coming and I like can't do what I'm put on this planet to do broke. So it's not about the money though. Like the greatest gift is that I get to live in my purpose, but also that I'm just proud of myself. And so to me,
Yeah.
it's just more about the person that I've become. Like at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm still Kat. I still do the same quirky things. Like, yeah, I have all these experiences that have made me who I am, but
Yeah.
what does any of that like, I don't know. I'm not trying to minimize it, but also it doesn't
That's how
matter.
you that's really how you know, I think that you're in that space of flow, when it
Mhm.
feels that way. And I know you and I share the story of thinking that our purpose was one thing, and
Mhm.
specifically the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Building this network marketing business, when that was really just preparing me for what I
Mhm.
was actually meant to do.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gives
So
me chills. Yeah.
what would you say to that woman who right now is maybe in the place like you and I were, really striving to make something work, and it just, like, for me, if I were to put words to it, just felt like I kept bumping up against a wall, and it felt hard and it felt like stress, and it was like I was never doing enough, versus how
Mhm.
it feels right now building something like you so beautifully said. It was like, just, opportunities keep coming,
Mhm.
whether that's financial opportunities or otherwise, but it
Yeah.
just has so much more flow to it. um, what would you say to the woman who's in the place maybe we both found ourselves a few years ago?
Yeah, that's hard because I think you have to go through that. I don't know if you would agree, but I
Mm,
I believe like you really have to go through those times
yeah.
to learn the lessons, right? Like you're getting the lessons, so just like you have to go through it, but I think I don't know about you, but for me, I think we have to give ourselves massive permission. I had to do a big pause and just really do some reevaluating. And I find this even in nursing, people get so hung up on like changing units or changing jobs or like, what if I want to quit nursing? I'm like, cool, maybe it's not for you anymore. There's a million other things you could do. Like, I think we just have to give ourselves permission. Like, there's just not a one size fits all. Like, I don't think I'll be doing the same thing in two. I mean, I think I'll still have my business and love it, but like maybe my program will change or, you might not have this podcast in 2 years. It's not a failure. It's just you might change.
Yeah. And giving ourselves that permission, that's such a
Yeah.
good reminder. I think you're right. I think now looking back, I was so restless in that season.
Mhm.
But if I didn't have the contrast of knowing how that felt
Totally.
versus how this felt, I don't think I would appreciate what I'm doing now.
And don't you think like it's my opinion and I don't know what you think about this, but I don't think I'll ever really get back there because I wouldn't let myself
Yeah.
get out of alignment. Like now that you know what that feels like, is that not the greatest gift?
So true. Yeah, so true. I love this. Okay, so for people who are listening to this, maybe they know a nurse, they are a nurse. What are the resources that you have available through your community? Like, what do you want people to be able to plug into, and how can you come alongside them in their journey,
Mhm.
whether they want to stay in nursing or
Totally.
reinvent themselves? What are you most excited about that you have planned for the next year?
Yeah, well, first we just have tons of free resources, period. So like if you go to nursesinspirenurses.com on our website, we just have resources. So we have tons of videos and journal prompts and like custom
Mhm.
meditations I've had made and like everything that you would need to just be like, hey, I need help this second. We have something there for you. So that's a great place to start. We also have a virtual community. Everything in our Instagram is just always super uplifting, super positive. Again, it's all geared toward nurses as a human first, a nurse second. So if any nurses listen to this, I always call them like the medical Mondays. If you're looking for like a medical Monday, like information on all the drugs, we're not for you, but that's okay. um, I'm just most excited about building up leaders in our community. So now that we've been around for a minute, like I started this whole Lightworker campaign and we have a Lightworker launch team. And we really have ways to support nurses now who want to be leaders in their community. And that's so exciting to me because hence Nurses Inspire Nurses. I never wanted to be everywhere. I really want like nurses to be inspiring each other when we can go to coffee shops again. We have resources for nurses to host their own coffee talks because again, I don't want to
Yeah.
host them all. So we have nurses doing that all over. And there's just hope. Like nursing can feel so isolating. Like it's super weird to be off on a Monday afternoon alone when everyone else is working and you're just like, cool. What do I do? So you're not alone.
Now more than ever, it's so needed. And
Yes.
it's just so beautiful to watch this vision of yours that I think it's a reminder for all of us. It's a reminder for me that you never know when your next
No.
best idea is going to pay you a visit.
No. And two, I think why taking action is so important. Like I was kind of laughing because, the World Health Organization said 2020 was the year of the nurse. And I was just like, our team was like, what are we going to do? And I'm just like, that's every day in our world. Like, okay, it's the year of the nurse. Like, bye. That's every day in our company. Like, we're not doing anything differently. Like, they're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, and I'm so glad that I had started this, that the second that I was like, no, now we need to do care packages. Like I had a warehouse. I had the space. I had the team. Like I took so many actions when I was scared that like when the opportunity presented itself, like I was like, yeah, I can ship 50,000 teas because I have someone to send reports. I have the warehouse. Like, yeah, is it a little stressful? Yeah, I'm figuring that out, but like I can do it.
Yeah. Oh, I could just listen to the stories all day long and have you read all of these handwritten letters.
They're amazing.
But so you mentioned the website. Where is the
Mhm.
best place for people to stalk you on social? Because it is really fun to watch this all unfold on stories.
You never know what's going to happen. So
You never know.
I know my Instagram is 9lives health, NINE lives health, which is also just like, I'll just say like very quickly, it's a great story too, because like 9lives health, like I'm going to actually be changing that because the company, like Nurses Inspire Nurses became the company. And I never knew or intended that that was
Yeah.
going to happen. So like my mentorship program is named something else. Like it just, 9lives health is like, we don't need it anymore. So yeah, it's just been interesting. Like it's just funny the transition, but it's okay. Like that's what happens.
Such a good reminder. It's so funny you're sharing that specifically because just this morning I was having the thought I have this really old Facebook page that Facebook keeps reminding me I have not posted on in 2 years because it was actually named after my first cute little baby blog. It was called Love Lindsay,
Uh-huh.
and it's
I think
just
that's kind
so
of cute.
not right. I mean, it is, but like you said, things evolve.
Oh,
They're meant
totally.
to evolve and grow as you do. So
Hmm.
no matter where you are listening to this today, let us be a
Totally.
reminder that and I say that all the time, as much as I love the event and the podcast and everything we're doing, I hold it with such open hands because I
Yep.
know that
Same.
as I grow and evolve, this vision will too.
Hmm.
And I think keeping room for the magic is where things really happen.
Hmm.
So I love that. You reminded me of that today, and I'm so grateful.
That's
Um,
so funny. I used to have a blog too. We're like same. We're little twinsies.
we really kind of are. Yeah.
That's so
So,
funny.
okay, I want to ask one last question, and I feel like you're the perfect person to answer this right now because there is such attention being placed on
Hmm.
your industry and on nurses. You being a nurse, supporting other nurses,
Hmm.
and this year especially, I'm really challenging myself and our community to be more bold about the things that they're doing that are great. I think as women,
Hmm.
it's really easy to downplay, the ways that we do show up really powerfully. So the question is simple, what's a moment in the past week or two or in the last month that you can look back now and be like, I was a total powerhouse in that moment. It can be something big or small, but something that you would consider a powerhouse moment.
Yeah, I'm buying a van. I just got off the phone. I'm just like, I'm buying a cargo van to haul out my teas. And I'm just like, right away, I want it to be like, oh, I need to see if my dad can come or like if someone else can come. I almost like text one of my guy friends and I'm just like, F that. I'm going by myself to get my van. Like, I called the guy up. I'm like, listen, I'm just going to be honest. This is what I want to pay, blah, blah, blah. And so I just did that today. So, and again, I have no idea. I'm like, I guess I need commercial insurance, something. I don't know. I'm like figuring it out. In a
I,
pandemic, we're going to meet in the Chipotle parking lot because they're not technically open.
that might be my favorite answer ever. I bought a frickin' van.
Yes.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Kat, thank you so much for being here, for taking time out of the
of
important
course.
work that you're doing right now. I'm so grateful. And I can't wait for the time that we're allowed to reunite in
I know,
person.
and hug each other.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. And stay tuned. This is definitely a woman you're going to want to watch, everyone, because, with her community, because I know it isn't all about you and you really look at it that
No.
way, but you really are changing lives. And I'm really grateful to have you in mind.
Thank you. Oh, so fun.